Alright, we're just trying this a third time now because of interruptions. This is Shiranui. It's his 4-bit. Pretty good, pretty good. What's up, fellow Vanguard nerds? I'm Babblerab, and this is the Nubatama deck that I took to my locals a few days ago. I originally had another deck profile recorded for this, but due to extensive editing out of things that were not part of the deck profile, I decided in the end that I was going to just re-record the deck profile. So here it is. There's also going to be probably several other videos that I plan on making. I've got a big channel update video I plan on doing, so that'll pretty much give you guys all the information here. One more thing I note is I'm going to try to make an attempt to make this a bit more G-rated. There are going to be some videos that, just due to the nature of them, it's going to not be as easy to make G-rated, but if I can get deck profiles in like games, not games probably, but if I can get deck profiles at least to be a little more G-rated, it'll approach like a wider audience. So yeah, we're going to try to keep this as clean as possible. So yeah, I played Nubatama. Shiranui build. My matchups were Aichi Legend deck, modified of course, Amon, Ancient Dragons, which it was actually my friend Neosis who actually won the tournament, and then store owners Aichi Legend deck, or not Aichi Legend deck. I think it was just more of a, it might have been like a modified Aichi Legend deck. Yeah, but he played Alfred before, and then he just added the cards to the deck is what I'm getting. So first matchup I won. Sukumarkin was star player of the entire day, easily. Yeah, I was able to drop his hand size down to 3. He would have been able to guard, but through the use of Miyabi or Fuki, I don't remember which of the two it was, I managed to like snipe every other vital card out of his hand they would have needed to keep himself alive, and I won that game. Amon, the main reason I won is because he didn't, and because like the deck wasn't able to get a really big hand, and I'm used to not having to, I'm used to having to stride Sukumorkin to deal with large hands most of the time. So it surprised me when I noticed the guy didn't have that big of a hand, which is perfectly fine. It's just I had to adjust my playstyle and I strode for a Toggle Lord instead of Sukumorkin, because Kopek plays Great Nature and he's able to get usually a big hand, and I'm usually playing against him most of the time, so that's kind of why. Third matchup, this is pretty much where my games went downhill. I did go 2-2, which I did forget to mention, but third and fourth game I lost. So third game, it was fairly back and forth right up until he Neosis stroked Gluttony Dogma. And I guarded the first attack, determined that there was only 2 crits in his deck by doing a trigger count, because I know that he plays 6 draw 6 crit. And he somehow managed to hit both of the remaining crits in his deck. Yeah, I didn't really feel as though that was that good of a win, or that good of a loss, because I did get crit sacked. But hey, you know what happens, we play Vanguard and crit sacks will happen. And yeah, I would have liked to have seen how that game had ended. And then my luck just did not improve on the last game. I got stuck with 4 grade 3s in my hand against a Seabreeze at 4 damage against Royals. He made big columns and basically I got the crap beaten out of me because I was unable to guard the attack. So yeah, in the end it went 2-2. I'm pretty happy with that because this is the first time I actually took this to locals. And yeah, let's actually get into the deck profile itself. So our starters, we're playing 2 copies of Kemojagusa. Reason why is that if your first copy gets retired, you have a second copy to fall back onto. I did misplay her effect once or twice. I was trying to actually trigger After Image, and I ended up deciding, hey, let's just go unflip a damage and not leave something in the bind zone. So yeah, I kind of ended up just screwing myself over in that regard with that. Overall, 2 is good. I wouldn't play less than 2. But I also don't think I'd play more than 2 because that would start clogging, but 2 is a good number. Trigger lineup, I have my entire deck backwards, that's okay. I'll just start with the heals. Where are you? There you are. So we'll play 4 heals. What a surprise. I'd like to play 16. No, actually, no, I wouldn't want to play 16 in this deck. 4 is good. So yeah, played 4. And then played 12 crit. Naroi. Tobihiko? And Kurogane. My mentality over the 8 crit, I think I was playing like 6 crit, 4 stand, 2 draw before. The draw triggers are a horrible idea in After Image. Reason being is that you can draw out of your After Image condition. What I mean by that is, say you have 5 cards in hand after a drive check, or with the drive check, you determine you're going to get 6 cards in hand. You have 1 after image effect that you need to get off. And then you hit a draw trigger on your drive check, and that puts you up to 7 cards in hand. You no longer can trigger after image, so anything you were planning on putting back to your hand that turn doesn't now activate because you have 7 in hand. So my thoughts are, since I don't really like the stand that much, I get that's a fairly good card. It's just I enjoy playing the 12 crits in this deck. I might as well just play crits because with the crits in the early game, I don't have to go call an extra unit down to get the most out of it. Meaning that I can literally just swing with Vanguard and nothing else if I want to pressure my opponent, and if I hit crits, they just take extra damage, so that gets them up to 5 damage faster, and this deck gets really scary when the opponents have 5 damage. So, yeah. I may give the stand a go again, but other than that, 12 crits probably what I'm going to stick with, and then I'm going to drop one of these two, whichever artwork I don't like as much, for the unflipping crit once it comes out. So, yeah. As it currently stands, like I said, I wouldn't change the 12 crits. They're too good. Grade 1s. 4 unflipping PG. You're so counterblast heavy in this deck, and you don't have enough ways to unflip damage, so you need to run the unflipping PG, unfortunately. So that's all I got to say about that. At least until like the new Nubatama stuff comes out. Then we played 4 Dreadmaster and 2 Fuki. I would actually change this. I would play 3 and 3. Fuki put in way too much work during the tournament. So I would honestly play 3 and 3. Dreadmaster's a good pressure card in the early game, don't get me wrong, but the thing is that Fuki can take stuff out of your opponent's hand before the battle phase even begins, and more importantly, it's random. So basically, my goal is to reduce the opponent's hand size as much as possible before they even have a chance to guard. So that's kind of why I want to play 3 Fuki instead of 4 Dreadmaster and 2, so I will play 3 and 3, is my plan. Dreadmaster still was, I think it still put in a good amount of work. This is a few days after the tournament, but I recall Fuki being like one of the star players of the deck as well. And then Kataragetsune? Kataragetsune, close enough. 3 Stride Enablers. I used this guy, I think on my first game to search Shiranui, and I never used him again to search Shiranui. He was just there to be stride fodder. 3 is the perfect number. I wouldn't change it. 3 allowed me to see the card when I needed it to, but at the same time, I also didn't see it too much. So yeah, as it currently stands, 3 is not anything I would change. Going to go to the grade 2s, which I did make a change from the previous deck profile. So I'm just going to start with the 4 ofs, which is Tamahagane. Basically, almost everything in this deck played exactly how I needed it to. Tamahagane was early game pressure. He removed rear guards that could have intercepted. He set up for my after image abilities, and overall, like I said, I would just not play. He was just really, really good in the deck, and I wouldn't play less than 4 of him at the moment. He is so useful. Then I played 4 Miyabi. Because I have the unflipping PG, I was able to get this effect off a lot more times. She comboed really nicely with the card I'm about to show after I showed Miyabi. Counterblast, snipe a random card of the opponent's hand. Super good. Again, the whole I'm going to reduce your hand size down to 2 or even 1 card so you can't even guard my attacks before battle phase. Absolutely phenomenal. It really, really worked during the tournament, and she put in so much work. So yeah, I wouldn't change that either. And then a card that I was a little not so keen on running before because I was like, oh, well, I don't have enough Shiranui to make this work. This is Nubatama. He gives after image to an effect for a counterblast soul blast, and he also gives the unit 3k. So comboed with Miyabi, you can give it 6k, and then from boost that puts her up to 22, depending on what you're boosting with, which means that in addition to their low hand size, they also have to 15k guard, so that's a magic number right there. He was good. He was very, very good because I only really had Shiranui on my Vanguard circle for the tournament. I didn't actually ride anything else other than Shiranui all game. All day, oh my gosh. So I'm going to keep him in the deck, honestly. Unless I can find like another grade 2 that could replace either Miyabi or Tamahagane, which I don't think I'm going to find another grade 2 that can do that. This guy is really, really solid. Wouldn't change him. And yeah. So he put in a lot of work today. Oh my gosh, I keep saying today. Guys, this is totally back in time. Grade 3s. So we got Kujikiri Kongo, which basically didn't even exist in the deck all day. So, yeah. The reason why I did originally play him, if I recall from the explanation in the earlier video, was that you can break right over top of him, snipe 2 cards out of your hand, then stride out of your opponent's hand, then stride into Shiranui, snipe another card out of their hand, and then if you're using Gadat Suriken, which is the one that's on hit, they discard, you take out another card from the hand, so that's kind of good. The only thing is it requires a break red setup. It requires you to use this guy, which I now hate using. So, yeah, once Shiranui Oboro comes out, he's gone. Maybe I'll build like Sure Stealth Dragons and give him another go, but as it currently stands in Shiranui, he has no place anymore. Star of the deck was Shiranui. Hands down, this thing was so useful. I saw it all day. And he pretty much was putting in so much work. I did actually, I think it was against either the Amon player or the first Royals player I versed. I actually forgot to activate his effect, and I was just like, well, I'm not going to ask the guy if I can go back to activate the effect. I'm just going to play on. Luckily for me, I still won. But yeah, I did misplay his effect like once or so. So, yeah. But this guy was the ace of the deck. Hands down. Best card in the entire main deck, I would say. Because, yeah, so good. Then I'm going to move on to the G-Zone. G-Zone is playing one Jiruken. He kind of just did this all game. Sat right there all game, all day. He just sat right there in the G-Zone. Doing a very good job of covering up the top card of the G-Zone, bench warming. My thoughts were just I don't want to use Counterblast 2 to take a card out of the hand and field. So, and since I'm not playing Sure Stealth Dragons, I never really too much incentive to play him. And like I said, if I was getting Shiranui, I was riding Shiranui before Kuchikiri Kongo, even if I had both in hand. 2 Gadat Sirkin, he was my typical first stride. Sukumorkin was the ace of the day, but Gadat Sirkin was a good setup, so that's not bad. He was just there to apply a bit of pressure on the first turn before I could actually stride into like a Toggle Lord and Sukumorkin. He did good. He did what I needed him to do, which was just to put a little bit of pressure on the opponent during the first stride. So, yeah. Gunrakin, I'd probably drop him down to 1. Just like I'd probably drop Gadat Sirkin down to 1 once the new domination stuff comes out. Gunrakin is in here because I was expecting to at least verse somebody who played a deck that once they lose their entire field can't recover that well from it. So, yeah, because it was basically all Paladins, Amon, and Ancients. I think the best choice would have been maybe going against Ancients if Neosis made a whole field, but I don't recall him ever doing that. My mind was just like, I'm just going to keep going Sukumorkin since they have big hands. So, Gunrakin didn't do pretty much anything, but I'm still going to play one of him just in case I run into somebody who plays big fields and can't recover from losing it. So, yeah, cutting him down to 1 most likely. And the ace of the entire deck. I only ever strode him once per game, but the 2 is there because there's going to be new support that will allow us to unflip damage better. So, odds are you're probably not surviving a second Sukumorkin because you can only, or because if I put your damage up to like 2 or 3 off the first one, or if I put your damage up by like 2 or 3 off the first one, by the time I get you to your 4th and 5th damage, sorry, you're probably dead by the time the second one shows up. So it doesn't even matter that they get their entire hand back, you're just going to like obliterate them with the second Sukumorkin. Obliterate, oh my god. Anyway, so yeah, Sukumorkin was the star of the day. He was the card that ended probably, well, of half the games I won, he was the card that won the game against Paladins. The Toggle Lord won the other one. But through playtesting, this is typically the card that wins most of the games, and sometimes it can be as soon as the first time you use them. So, really, really good card. And 2, I think, is the perfect number just because he is fairly counterblast heavy. I played 4 Toggle Lord. This guy's only really useful against decks that go and spew their entire hand onto the field and don't have that big of a hand yet, because the extra crit's good when you can take your opponent down to 3 or less cards. The only issue is that whatever I was versing was sitting with about 10 cards in hand, 8 to 10, sorry. And I basically was sitting there going, well, Toggle Lord, you're kind of not doing anything, so let's just go for Sukumorkin again, because it's the best card in the deck. But yeah, Toggle Lord did win me the game against the Amon player. The +1 crit when he was at 3 damage got him up to 5, and I hit a crit in my drive check, which got him to 6, and then I took game. But other than that, I didn't really use a Toggle Lord that much. Maybe against Ancients I might have used him, but other than that, no. Nubatama G-Guard. It did what it needed to. It gave me an extra shield. I can't wait for the new ones, because those are going to be pretty good, but yeah. He did exactly what he needed to, which was just keep me alive, and he did an okay job of that. And then Screw and Seabreeze. Seabreeze didn't strat a single time because no one grade stalled me, and Screw I actually used quite a bit. Once or twice I guess, but out of the 4 rounds I'd say that's fairly quite a bit. So, yeah, I think I'm hoping I didn't drop a trigger for this, because it would have done the exact same thing as just like going screw and something else. But yeah, screw definitely was fairly useful during the tournament. So yeah. The changes I would probably make to the deck, like I said, are once Shiranui Oboro comes out, Kujikiri Kongo is gone. Like, it was, back when I first started with the deck, it was a good idea. Grade 2 is it wouldn't change anything. Grade 1's going to probably drop a Dreadmaster out of a Fuki. And for triggers, I'm going to drop probably 4 of the crits and put in the unflipping crits. Other than that, aside from maybe the G-Zone, which would probably be dropping a Gadat Suriken, a Gunraken for new Dominate stuff, and the Joruken, so probably be, this one will be for the, what is it, Megan Tenbu, I believe, is the one that gives it a unit 4k, or 3k for each face-up unit in your G-Zone after you dominate it, and then the other one will be for the other domination one in the trial deck. But yeah, not too much I would actually change in the deck. Overall, the results of the tournament I was very happy with. The fact that really I only lost due to bad luck means that there's a very good chance I could have actually gone 4-0 in the tournament, so I consider this a pretty good win on my part, especially this is the first time I actually played Nubatama, so yeah, very, very happy with how the deck performed. So if you guys have any questions about the deck, or the tournament, or any suggestions for the deck, leave them in the comment section below. And other than that, I'm Babblerab, and I will talk to you guys later.